What if you opened your eyes and the world was 4.3 million years younger? No cities, no safety, only predators, hunger, and fear. This is where survival truly began. The world was young, raw, untamed. A place where life fought every second to exist. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and wild grass. Morning mist clung to the lowlands like a veil hiding secrets. Each droplet shimmered on the sharp blades of ancient ferns. The sun had just begun to rise, spilling golden light across the plains. From the horizon came the sound of life, deep, primal, unending. Birds screeched, insects buzzed in a frantic rhythm, and from somewhere distant, a low growl rolled across the valley. It was the sound of hunger and fear. A young Australopithecus afarensis stirred beneath the shade of a fallen fig tree. Her name was Sura, her eyes opened wide and alert, scanning the world with the sharp caution of prey. Her breath was shallow, every sense sharpened. The cool air brushed against her skin. She listened. The jungle whispered, but something felt wrong. A sound was missing, the chatter of others from her troop. The usual comfort of familiar voices was gone. Sura rose slowly to her feet, her limbs lean and strong from endless climbing. Her fingers brushed the rough bark as she steadied herself. The forest floor was soft with layers of old leaves, but beneath it lay the silent marks of danger, faint prints in the mud, wide and deep. She crouched and touched one. It was fresh, still wet with dew, too large to belong to her kind, the mark of a predator. Her heart began to pound. She turned her head, scanning the thickets. Every shadow seemed alive. Every rustle felt like a warning. She took a slow step backward, then another. The air grew heavier. The cries of birds fell silent, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. A faint rumble echoed from behind a cluster of cycads. Sura froze. Her nostrils flared. The smell hit her. Sharp, musky, metallic. It was the scent of meat and blood. A sudden movement flashed through the undergrowth. Something large, something powerful. Sura leaped onto a nearby branch, gripping tightly. Her heart raced. The leaves trembled beneath her trembling hands. Below, a saber-toothed predator, its coat striped with golden and black, emerged from the ferns. Its eyes glowed amber in the morning light. It moved with the grace of death itself. Each step was silent, deliberate, full of intent. Sura's breath caught in her throat. The beast lifted its head. It sniffed the air. Its ears twitched. It knew she was close. Sura climbed higher, her bare feet gripping bark and moss. The beast growled softly. The sound vibrated through the trees like thunder trapped in its chest. Her fingers slipped. Bark tore against her skin. A drop of blood fell from her hand and hit a leaf below. The predator's head snapped up. Its gaze locked onto the sound. It roared, a deep, terrible cry that shattered the quiet of the morning. Sura's pulse exploded. She leaped from one branch to another, her body twisting midair. The beast lunged at the base of the tree, claws slicing through vines. The ground shook beneath its weight. Sura climbed higher, but the branch cracked beneath her foot. She fell. Air rushed around her. Her body hit the ground hard, the impact knocking breath from her lungs. Pain surged through her side. She tried to stand. The beast turned, its fangs gleaming. It roared again, closer this time. Sura staggered, grabbed a rock from the ground, and threw it with all her strength. It struck the beast's shoulder, a useless act of defiance, but it gave her one heartbeat of time. She ran. Branches whipped her face, mud splashed against her legs. Behind her, the predator thundered forward, crushing leaves and bone alike. The world blurred, green, brown, red. Every breath tore at her chest. Her mind screamed only one command: survive. The forest ended abruptly. She stumbled into the open plain, sunlight blinding her eyes. The air was hot now, dry and sharp. Grass as tall as her shoulders swayed in waves. Somewhere in the distance, shadows moved. Other creatures, watching. Wait. Sura did not stop. The growl behind her grew louder. Closer. The sound of death chasing her heels. She dove into the grass, crawling low, silent. Her heart thudded so loud she feared it would betray her. The beast slowed, its heavy breath slicing the air. It prowled the edge of the grassland, eyes scanning. Every movement of the grass was a potential target. Sura stayed still, every muscle trembling. Sweat trickled down her back. The ground beneath her was damp, smelling of life and decay. Flies buzzed near her ear. The wind shifted, and with it, her scent. Instead of predators, each breath measured. The predator followed, closing the distance. The grass parted behind her. The smell of blood and hunger grew stronger. She reached the edge of the pond. Her reflection stared back, eyes wide, full of fear. A ripple moved across the water's surface. Something else was there. Something else was there. Something beneath the surface of the pond rippled again. Sura froze. The air thickened with silence. Even the wind seemed to stop breathing. Her reflection vanished in the disturbed water. Beneath the surface, a shadow moved, slow, deliberate, enormous. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Hyenodonts. The grass behind her rustled. The predator was near. She could hear its growl, low and deep, vibrating through the ground beneath her palms. She looked back. Two burning eyes pierced through the golden grass. The beast crouched, muscles rippling under its striped fur. It was ready to strike. Sura's mind screamed for escape, but the pond was her only path forward. She plunged into the water. Cold gripped her body like iron. The shock stole her breath. Mud swallowed her feet. The predator lunged after her, claws tearing the earth apart. But as it reached the edge of the pond, the surface exploded. A massive reptilian head burst upward, jaws wide, teeth curved like daggers. A prehistoric crocodile, twice the size of the cat, erupted from the depths. Its roar was not a sound, but a force. Ancient, primal, unstoppable. Water sprayed into the air. The saber-toothed beast twisted, trying to pull away. Too late, the crocodile's jaws clamped down on its leg. Bone cracked. The cat screamed in fury and pain, clawing at the monster's armored snout. Blood dyed the water red. Sura stumbled backward, choking on the taste of mud and fear. Her lungs burned, her vision blurred with terror. The two titans battled before her, death fighting death. Waves crashed against the shore. She crawled out of the pond, slipping, gasping, every limb shaking. Behind her, the water boiled with violence. The cat thrashed, its roars echoing through the plains. Then the sound stopped. Silence, thick and dreadful, filled the air. The crocodile sank back into the depths, dragging its prey beneath. Only ripples remained. Sura lay on the bank, soaked and trembling. Her ears rang. Her heart refused to slow. The stench of blood clung to her skin. She looked toward the trees. The safety of the jungle seemed so far away now. Every muscle in her body screamed for rest, but rest meant death. Rest meant death. The scent of fresh blood would travel fast. Other predators would come, always hungry, always watching. She rose, legs weak but mind fierce. Her tribe was somewhere to the east, beyond the ridge of volcanic rock. She needed to reach them before the sun fell. Sura moved through the tall grass, limping slightly. Each step was agony. Each breath scraped her throat. Above, the sun blazed mercilessly. The air shimmered with heat. A flock of early storks lifted from a distant marsh, their cries sharp and haunting. The world felt endless, unforgiving, and yet alive. She passed the skeleton of a giant antelope, bleached by time, its ribs stretched like the bars of a forgotten cage. Insects crawled through the hollow skull. The smell of decay mixed with the scent of wild flowers. Life and death, side by side, always intertwined. A sudden sound made her stop. Sound made her stop. A soft clicking, almost rhythmic. Sura crouched low, eyes darting. From the shadow of a fallen log, a troop of early primates emerged, smaller than her kind, faces narrow, eyes sharp. They watched her with curiosity. Then one hissed, baring its teeth. She raised her hands, showing no threat. But they had already decided. They were not her friends. The troop surged forward, shrieking. Sura backed away, heart racing once again. They threw stones, sticks, clumps of dirt, territory defense. Their calls were sharp and chaotic, echoing through the valley. Sura turned and ran. Her feet pounded against the dry soil. Dust rose behind her in golden clouds. The troop chased her to the edge of their domain, then stopped, still screaming until her figure vanished over the rise. Sura slowed only when her lungs burned again. Her throat was dry. Her tongue felt heavy. She needed water, clean water, but the land stretched barren before her. The heat shimmered. Her vision wavered. The scent of sulfur drifted through the air. Ahead, the land rose into dark, broken cliffs. Smoke curled from their tops, the slumbering breath of volcanoes. Sura hesitated. The ground trembled faintly beneath her bare feet. The earth here was alive and dangerous, but so was everything else. She pressed on, weaving between jagged rocks that cut like knives. The air grew thicker with the stench of ash. The sky dimmed. A strange red haze clung to the horizon. She moved carefully, watching each step. Steam hissed from cracks in the ground. Drops of boiling water spat from unseen vents. The world rumbled again, deep, distant, like the growl of some buried beast. Sura stumbled but caught herself on a stone. Her palms burned against its hot surface. She pulled back, panting. Her ears caught a new sound, faint, rhythmic thuds approaching fast. Not the steps of a predator. Different, lighter, faster. She turned toward the ridge. From between the rocks emerged a group of herbivorous beasts, small, sleek, with long snouts and powerful legs. They ran in a frenzy, eyes wide with panic. Something was chasing them. Sura pressed against the rocks, watching. The ground trembled harder now. From behind the fleeing herd burst a new terror, a pack of giant Hyenodonts, ancient hunters with jaws that could crush bone. They tore into the herd, their howls echoing off the cliffs. Sura's breath caught. The scent of blood filled the air again. The screams of prey mixed with the laughter of killers. She crouched lower, hiding behind a boulder. Her body ached with exhaustion, but her eyes stayed sharp. Sissinat, one Hyenodont lifted its head, sniffing the wind. Its nostrils flared. Its gaze shifted toward her hiding place. Sura held her breath. A moment of stillness. Then the wind turned. Her scent reached them. The beast roared. The pack turned as one, their eyes glowing like coals in the haze, humming like coals in the haze. They began to move toward her, slow at first, then faster, then charging. Sura ran. Her legs screamed with pain, but fear drove her harder than ever before. The ground split beneath her as small fissures opened, releasing bursts of scalding steam. She jumped across one, the heat burning her ankles. The Hyenodonts leaped after her, relentless. She could hear their claws clicking on the stone. She climbed higher, scaling the slope of a cliff, rocks crumbling beneath her grip. Her lungs burned. Her skin blistered from the heat. The beasts climbed too, unstoppable. The world behind her erupted in chaos. A low rumble became a roar. The volcano above began to stir. Dark smoke rose into the blood-red sky. The earth convulsed beneath her hands. Rocks tumbled down the slope, smashing into the pursuing pack. One beast slipped, crashing into another. Sura kept climbing, the air filled with the scent of sulfur and fear. Flames flickered at the mountain's crown. The sky turned black. The world began to scream. The mountain roared like the heart of the world had split open. Flames leapt into the sky, painting the heavens in shades of crimson and gold. Ash rained down, soft and endless, covering everything like a gray snowfall of death. Sura clung to the side of the cliff, her body trembling, her breath ragged. The heat was unbearable. Her skin stung. Her eyes watered from the smoke. She looked upward, toward the faint light breaking through the storm of ash. The top, her only hope. With one final surge of strength, she climbed. Stone cut her palms. The air grew thin and hot, but she did not stop. She pulled herself onto the ledge and fell to her knees, gasping, tears and ash streaking her face. Behind her, the volcano erupted fully. The earth split open, releasing fire from its core. Lava poured down the mountain like rivers of molten blood. The Hyenodonts below screamed, their howls swallowed by the roar of the earth. The world burned, but Sura lived. She turned her face to the wind, letting the heat whip through her tangled hair. She watched the valley below, the forest she had known since birth consumed by flame and smoke. Her eyes reflected both sorrow and defiance. The land was changing. Everything she knew was dying. Yet, in the midst of destruction, something inside her refused to yield. She stood, her silhouette framed against the burning sky. The first survivor of a dying age, a symbol of endurance in a world that allowed none. As the fires dimmed and the ash began to settle, a strange quiet returned. The air cooled, soft winds whispering across the blackened earth. The sun broke through the haze, faint at first, then bright and golden. Sura descended the other side of the ridge, her footsteps leaving prints on the new land. Each step marked the beginning of something greater, a lineage that would one day walk on two legs, speak, build, and dream. Far below, streams of fresh water began to carve through the cooling ash. Life, fragile but unyielding, began again. Tiny green shoots pushed through the soot. Insects returned, birds circled above, and the earth exhaled. Sura paused by a pool of clear water. Her reflection looked back, older, scarred but alive. She touched the surface gently. Ripples spread across it, breaking the stillness. The reflection shattered, not an ending, but a beginning. Above her, the sky turned blue again, and in that vast silence, life moved forward. The fierce battle for survival never ended. It only changed its shape. The world belonged to the ones who endured, and Sura had endured, the first spark of tomorrow.